I, 40 female, cheated on my husband, 42 male of 14 years a few months ago. I am sorry for what I did, but I have no idea what he thinks, and he won't speak to me. I'm well aware that I'm the bad guy from the get-go, and I get that, but allow me to clarify the situation. I love my husband. People will tell you that I don't because of what I've done, but I really believe it to be true. It was a mistake on my part. I had a brief romance with a mutual friend that lasted just a few weeks. It wasn't even a month before my husband came home from work for his lunch break and realized what had happened to us. Because he's never done it before, I'm thinking he was a little skeptical. Despite the fact that we weren't doing anything, we were in bed together so that he could figure it out. I recognized that what I did was wrong, and I recognized how much misery I caused my husband as well. Not even the most heartfelt apology could make up for my sorrow. He left the house and didn't come back. Until it was really late in the evening. I attempted to reach him, but he did not respond to my calls. The next morning, I saw his side of the bed was occupied, but he had gotten out of bed before me. I discovered him in the kitchen and attempted to apologize, but he refused. Instead, he just inquired as to how long I'd been with Isaac, our friend, and a flood of additional inquiries as to when, how it started, and so on and so forth. As soon as he finished, he walked away, saying, "Enough." I'm not sure where he went that day, but he returned late that night to tell me about it. Isaac was the last person I saw for a long time. After then, he never brought up the subject of the affair again. Immediately after the dispute, he started acting in a cold and distant way, which is typical of most individuals. He was not loving, nice, angry, or passionate in any way. He only communicated with me when it was absolutely necessary to do so. We were less than a month away from our anniversary, so I figured he was waiting for that day to arrive before proceeding with the divorce proceedings. Despite my efforts, the anniversary passed without incident, and he treated me to an uncomfortable supper, which was the end of it. After 7 months, he hasn't said anything about how he came across us or what he did to us. Occasionally, I bring it up in order to address it and have closure, but he always shuts me down and remains depressed for the rest of the day. He doesn't act in the same manner around me as he used to, but he is cordial and even nice at times. As a result, we've stopped having relations, and he just kisses me goodbye before going for work. On the whole, I'm at a loss on what to do next. I'm completely baffled by what's going on. I'm not certain he wants to leave me, but I'm starting to have second thoughts. I am fully aware that I made a horrible mistake, and I would fully understand if my husband wanted a divorce, which I do not. What I find difficult to fathom is his laid-back attitude toward life. I'm not sure whether he still has feelings for me. I'm well conscious of the fact that what I did was awful. This is something I don't want to happen to him, and I'll never do it again. Attempting to communicate with him about what happened, apologize, or find a solution to alleviate his distress, on the other hand, results in his walking away. My mind is blank as to what to do next, and I'm not sure what to make of the situation. Story 2. This has to be the most devastating thing to ever happen to me. I noticed a change in my wife's behavior toward me around the middle to end of last year. She had a much shorter fuse and would get nasty towards me for the smallest of reasons. It was evident that something was wrong. I'm not sure how I discovered she was cheating on me, but it happened by coincidence, and there was no doubt about what was going on. This was not the first time it had occurred, however. Back in 2018, she had this coworker buddy, whom I'll call TT, would often come over after work and on weekends to hang out with us. T was also a man. It got to the point where T became our girlfriend, and we all slept together on a regular basis. It was entertaining, but my wife and T developed strong emotions for one another, and it became clear that this was occurring. I knew and had even warned my wife that things were not going to end well if we had to divorce. While I felt I was being excluded, I couldn't take it longer and ordered my wife to cut it up or, at the very least, stop being intimate with T when I wasn't present. She did it at least one more time after that, and I discovered it. That's when I told her she had to sever it entirely. That did happen eventually, but I know they still. Perhaps it was because it was another woman that I didn't feel threatened, or because I knew this person couldn't provide for her in the same way that I could, or because I felt she couldn't ever fully be with her because of her strict family. That was all a ruse, I now think. My wife and I had an intensive discussion about everything after she had broken it off. She informed me about troubles she was having with me in our relationship, and I told her that I was more than willing to work on those issues with her, but that if she was unhappy in our relationship, It was time for us to stop it as well. She said that she really wanted to be with me and that she intended to remain married. We moved on to purchase a home and strengthen our relationship, I reasoned. Fast forward a few years to 2021, and I discover she's been having an affair with a colleague who is considerably older than her. Someone who is married, has children, and claims to be a doctor. I'm completely heartbroken, just agonizingly depressed. I confront her, and she remains silent. She just sits there, catatonic. It takes her days only to mumble an apology. She eventually tells me what occurred and why it happened. She tells me things that further hurt me, such as she never had an emotional connection to me. She hates our home and where we live. She doesn't believe we're good for each other. She's too sensitive for me, and so on. These things really astound me. I also discover that she adores this individual. My heart feels like it's being stabbed with a hot iron. I later learned from her that I often made her feel stupid about things she desired, and that I had alienated her to some extent. I feel terrible for doing all of these things, and they are most certainly things I did, but she never informed me about them. I was never given the opportunity to make up for what I had done wrong. I can even recall particular instances when I asked her whether she was happy, and she never gave me any sign that she wasn't. I can state unequivocally that I never abused her. I believed I did a decent job of loving and caring for her. The man emails me this lengthy, rambling apologies text not long after the original altercation. It's evident that this man is a total jerk. It's so bad that I can't imagine my wife would be drawn to someone like him. I pleaded with her to return to me, to stop what she was doing and to focus on our relationship. She claims she does, but it's evident from her tone and body language that she doesn't want to. She tells me she doesn't want to continue hurting me. This, I believe, indicated that she did not want to continue our marriage since she couldn't stop what she was doing. I know she spoke to him on the phone every day after work and had covert meetings with him whenever she could. I'm at the end of my rope at this point. When I'm there, I can't focus at work, and I often weep. I weep all the time, everywhere. More tears than I've ever shed in my life. I'd finally had enough and kicked her out of the home and filed for divorce. It was just too much for me to bear. She returns 4 or 5 days after being booted out, saying she wants to reconcile and that she had broken up with this person. Again, she does not come off as convincing. In fact, she seems irritated with me when she tells me all of this, as if I were the one who had done something wrong. At this time, all I wanted was my wife back. So, very, very badly. So I delude myself and tell myself that everything will be all right, but I know it won't be. I even texted this man to ensure that things had ended and to inform him that if anything went wrong, I would be leaving. He replies that it had, but I had no reason to trust him. Again, utter nonsense from this person, establishing his status as a liar. The similar pattern will be repeated in the next weeks. So I face her once again and inform her that it's true and that the divorce is continuing. In our subsequent conversations, she has said that she still loves me and that she would miss me when she is gone. It's the strangest thing to hear from someone who treats you so differently. It's been an utterly terrifying experience that I don't believe I'll ever forget. I just cannot see how someone could love 2 individuals at the same time. That would be impossible for my heart to perform. I get the impression that there will be many aspects of this event that I will never be able to fathom. I'm left with nothing except sorrow and grief. I'll miss the connection I thought I had, and I don't believe things will ever feel the same again. This does not strike me as exaggeration in the least. I adored this individual and am now terribly bereft. My primary takeaways and suggestions are to make certain that your spouse is well cared for and that they are heard. I hope you will take this as a warning and learn from the errors that were committed.